Welcome, everybody, to another exciting episode of HomeKit Insider. You got me, your host as always, Andrew O'Hara, and I am very excited. On a previous episode, I had some folks there from the founding of Signify and Philips Hue, which was one of my favorite very early smart home brands. And this week, I am so stoked to be joined by Jason Johnson, who is one of the founders of August Smart Lock, who is now launching a brand new company with a really, really cool product and setup and everything. I am so excited to talk about all of this stuff today. I guess, starting off, Jason, thank you so much for hanging out today.
My pleasure to be here. A long-time listener, first-time caller.
Perfect. I have so many questions. Again, like the August was such like an early lock in the smart home. It goes back to like the original like Philips Hue bulbs, and it goes to like the Nest thermostat back then, and then that original August lock and home one. Yeah, like that was just such a fun time in the smart home. And things got really waffly for a while, but I feel like everything's getting into a good spot again. So yeah, excited to talk about the future and everything that you've got cooking up, because man, it looks like you guys have been at work based on like the little that I've seen so far.
Looking forward to getting into it.
Awesome. So we'll talk about all of that in a little bit. Let's go ahead and start with the news as usual. Now, we're recording this actually on Friday, which was pretty good timing because Apple surprised us with the release of iOS 26.2, as well as for all its other platforms. So Apple TV, tvOS 26.2 is getting one big upgrade, which is the ability to add additional profiles for children that do not have Apple IDs. Harrison, my son, he has an Apple ID, and it was like we literally need it for like the Apple TVs and stuff so that he can have all of his kids shows segmented out. I don't know how we didn't have profiles before now for children, but that's a thing. It's also just useful for like if you have like a roommate or something, maybe they're an Android user, I don't know, and they don't want to have an Apple ID, so that's really good to have. HomePod got an update, just general stability improvements. And Apple is adding one new feature to the Home app with 26.2. They're adding multi-pack support. That is where you buy something like, a 10-pack of light bulbs. You can enroll them all by scanning or tapping, one setup code instead of having to do all of them individually. That actually was added to Matter with, I think, 1.4.2, 1.4.1, one of those tiny little updates. Added that fairly recently, and now Apple has brought it to the Home app. So some decent little updates there, Jason. I mean, kind of good stuff. We're at the end of the year. Can't expect anything too exciting, I guess, right?
Yeah. It's pretty good, though. I'm glad to see they're keeping it going.
Yeah. For the mid-December, I'm happy that there's actual kind of news to talk about. Yeah. The more exciting stuff, though, I don't know if you saw this story, but it seems Macworld got a internal build of iOS 26 and has been continuously releasing all of these things, like features that are in development for 26.4 to come out this spring, stuff for iOS 27 and iOS 28 that are coming. There's like a whole bunch of stuff between like a new revamped, redesigned health app, but it did give us even more details into Apple's upcoming smart display. It looks like, based on the code, there's references to, of course, a camera, but it is limited to 1080p. I guess that kind of makes sense, though. Like, who's taking a FaceTime call over 1080p, really? Well,
and
you're not going to.
There's technical issues. There's reasons. There is.
Exactly.
I can get into that if you want to talk about later on.
So 1080p cameras. I know, considering that your stuff has cameras built into it, I'm sure you have plenty of experience trying to stream video quality. We got Face ID. Home Hub will have Face ID, and that's also going to identify who is in each room. There's profile switching, which will be done based off of Face ID. It's going to be able to automatically swap your profile when it identifies you. And of course, it's going to have Apple Intelligence running like the new version of Apple's Assistant and all of that. So nothing kind of groundbreaking here, but it is like further confirmation that this thing is coming. I mean, have you been kind of following the story of this big rumored smart display?
I have, very much so. We were early partners with August and on HomeKit before HomeKit was a thing. So yeah, been very, 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 very much tracking what they're doing and excited about them getting more into the space.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be huge, especially as they adopt more stuff with Matter and Matter cameras and all that stuff. So it's gonna be cool. But I'm glad that we're kind of getting more concrete information around this. That code also does say that that next gen version of Apple's Assistant is planned for 26.4. So it's been what's been expected, and springtime. Springtime is when all this stuff is going down.
I was just gonna
Before
say
we
that,
get
I mean
into
they had to get into display, so we could talk about why I think they're gonna potentially have some kind of a HomePad type device.
give us a tease right now, though. Can you give me the high level view of your new like smart door, DOMA Home, all of that, and we'll get all the details later. But I have it here in the news. Can you give us like the elevator pitch, the high level of what you guys are doing?
Yeah, yeah. The high level is Doma Home is trying to take the whole experience around access control and security and also health and wellness to the next level, right? So, trying to solve a lot of the reliability issues, the attractiveness of these devices and equipment in the home, a variety of things on long-term reliability. So a bunch of stuff. I have to get into it, but basically think of it as smart locks and video doorbells and alarm security control panels and more, just more elevated, a better reliable experience.
Awesome. Yeah, we're definitely gonna be talking about that, so everyone can look forward to that in the second half of this episode. Continuing with the news, Shelly has a new smart plug out. I feel like we went from like futuristic smart door to the most basic of smart home products. Like they're still essential, but we kind of kind of went down here in terms of fanciness. But it is a Matter enabled smart plug, US outlets, has energy monitoring built in, which I do think is crucial for these. There's a big difference between some of the cheaper ones that lack energy monitoring, so I like to see that built in. Has a built-in light sensor as well, detects ambient light at 3 different levels, bright, twilight, and dark, and you can use that for automations. I am curious, because I don't have confirmation whether or not that light sensor is exposed like to Matter, or if that's something that you're going to have to do through like the Shelly app or something. But it's Wi-Fi 6, comes in black and white. There's an LED status light that goes like behind it to give you kind of some visual feedback, but they're only $20. So not bad for a Wi-Fi enabled Matter smart plug with energy monitoring built in. If anyone has additional needs for smart plugs, I would definitely think that would be one to consider.
Yeah, especially if, with the Matter adoption, if you don't have to go out to the cloud, to Shelly's cloud and operate locally, that's a big win.
Yeah. I have not seen many of their things because I don't know how much stuff they've had that was Matter enabled, but I've heard of the brand before, but not really tried any of their stuff. But they look very compact too, which I like. I appreciate when you can put two of them together. I know some of the early ones like Geek and the Wemos, you could fit one in an outlet, and then your other one was completely blocked.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've had good experience. I think they're an Eastern European company, and they're certainly affordable. But again, when you have to go out to the cloud, to control these devices, right? That's kind of a long-term risk for stability, and so I applaud them and everybody who adopts Matter. I'm a big fan of.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of which, next piece in the news, Plume has joined the CSA. I'm going to have more on Plume in a future episode. I'm actually having someone from the company come here and talk about how they are working on networking for the smart home and some stuff like that. So excited to talk about that later. But the big thing here is they are joining at a pretty high level for the CSA to help work on like the Wi-Fi spec. They recently added the HRAP, which is like the networking devices, to Matter in version 1.4. There's been a lot of stuff going on there, so this is still exciting. They've done a lot. I think they were the inventors of OpenSync, which is like the open source framework for a bunch of different devices out there. So they're bringing a lot of experience to it, and I think that's going to be very good for smart home networking going forward. So we'll have more on that in a little bit.
Dan Hershkovich runs that, and he ran Comcast's home business previously. So he's been around for a while. He knows how to build a good business.
Yeah, and I was actually having Chris come on the podcast, who I think was more on the technical level, I think CTO possibly. He's going to come on and talk about everything they've been doing. And planes got delayed, and this worked out really well. So now we get to chat, and I'm going to have Chris on in probably 2 weeks, because I think next week's episode I'm having someone on from Residio Honeywell side to talk about their new thermostat. So a lot of guests coming up here on the podcast. But I liked Plume a lot. I thought their access points, like their mesh routers, were really neat. And the fact that they're just solely focused on software now, I'm excited, especially with their affiliation with Matter and the impact that they're going to be able to have.
Indeed.
Pretty minor update, but Kef has launched a new version of its LSX2 speaker, just new color options. There's amber haze and cotton white. I really like these speakers. Like, they're a good size. They look beautiful. They sound amazing, and they have a ton of different inputs, including AirPlay. So, like, I really, really like these ones, and the new colors I just think look really cool too. So if anyone has been watching for some desktop like speakers, like, these are top of my list for recommendations. They're not cheap though, but they look so cool.
Yeah, and there's not that many in white. I've had challenges finding white loudspeakers over the years. So, and they're a great brand. They're high quality.
Yeah, I always think of just like what's going to look great on camera for photo and video, and I'm like, if I had good space for them, I would upgrade to those in a heartbeat. But I've got the HomePods, and I don't listen to that much like audio on the regular because I'm doing video stuff. So like I can't justify the price just out of the gate. Eve had a few pieces of news, surprisingly, ahead of CES. Eve announced their new Radiator Valve and Thermostat. So the Radiator Valve 4th generation, I actually talked about it on a couple episodes ago. It was kind of leaked preemptively by the CSA because it is Matter certified. Not too much change. It's a little bit smaller, I believe, than the last generation. EU market, but an upgraded version of their Radiator Valve with Thread and Matter on board. And then they pre-announced a new Thermostat. It looks pretty simple, rounded square. This is not available yet, but it is an EU thermostat. So for the European market, pretty simple. It looks really nice and elegant. It is Matter enabled. And of course, my first question was, does it support adaptive temperature? And they were not able to confirm anything. The statement I got was, we plan to share more about the full range of features supported by the Eve Thermostat EU for each Matter platform when the product's released. They have not given a release timeline yet or anything like it, but they at least shared that it exists. It is coming for the EU market. That does make me think a little bit. I don't know how much you've seen, Jason, like in the adaptive temperature feature, because I don't think we've seen any thermostats that actually support this yet.
Yeah, you're talking about the specifically the HomeKit adaptive feature.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
like we've seen with lighting, right? That's already happened. Yeah, I don't think we've seen the implementation with HomeKit yet. I mean, we have the thermostats that have their own, Ecobee and Nest have their own adaptive software built into the devices, but nothing with HomeKit yet that I've seen.
I've been very curious. Like, I haven't been able to get any confirmation on anything. And I did see, like, on Reddit, there was a lot of people who were trying it with their own, like, Matter enabled ones, because mine's Ecobee right now. It's not Matter enabled. So I thought maybe it's just for the Matter ones, but it doesn't seem like anyone who has been able to get this to work with existing Matter thermostats. So I don't know if this is either like not baked into iOS yet, or if there's some sort of like, software that has to be enabled on the hardware to support it. Like with the adaptive lighting, they did have to push out software updates to the lights themselves to enable that from the manufacturers. So I don't know if that's what's going to happen here. I'm hoping we see something more concrete. I mean, maybe we'll see more news actually at CES from any of these brands that are having thermostats, or maybe Apple will save this for the spring and their smart device launch. But I am curious at why we haven't really heard too much yet about this and what the full requirements will be.
Yeah, I wish I knew the complexities of implementing it into the device. It could be more complex, and that's why I was going to talk about the video streaming at 1080p, because it is complex, the stream. And then also. How many years have we been now having the Siri SDK? You have two devices. You've had Ecobee, 4th gen thermostat, and now finally this control panel. I think it's a Aqara, is it? I mean, how many years? And we have now a total of two. That tells me that it's pretty hard to implement into the device.
I didn't know if it was either hard to implement or if it was just for business reasons. Because honestly, I thought Sonos would have picked that up. just because like they are such a premium brand, they want to work with largely everyone. They do have, AirPlay on there. To me, I thought they would have tried it. I mean, they already put, Amazon and Google and their own assistant. I would have thought they would have just done it. I mean, you're already opening it up. You're competing with the Google and the Amazon speakers. Why are you not also including the Apple one? So maybe it's just really hard to actually implement this to Apple standards. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll just go ahead and tell you about the video streaming. So August had a video doorbell. People don't remember that we did. It didn't have nearly the traction that Ring did, and they were certainly before us. But we were early in HomeKit, right? We helped write the specification for locks. We actually did define the specification for locks in HomeKit before HomeKit was even named HomeKit. And so when we did our video doorbell, they were quick to ask us to support HomeKit Secure Video. The main reason, there's two reasons why people don't implement that into their cameras. Number one is certainly the business reasons, right? Someone like a Ring is not going to support that because they're not going to give up that DVR revenue stream. It's core to covering costs of those devices. And the services behind them. But number two, I don't know if you know this, but every HomeKit Secure Video camera has to send two streams to Apple, two simultaneous streams, and then if you want to send a separate one to your own servers or to some other local device, now you're at 3 or 4 streams. So you can imagine that if you had all those streams be at 2K or 4K. That's massive overhead, right? Especially on an upstream if you're going out to cloud services. So that is part of the reason why it's capped at 1080 is to try to reduce the overhead.
That's really interesting. The one thing that I had heard on the camera front that was limiting others was Apple wanted constant pulling, like it needed constant device checks, and for wireless cameras it was incredibly battery draining. So that's why even today there's still not really any wireless cameras that do HomeKit, and the ones that do usually certify the base or a bridge or something like that the cameras connect to, and that's able to check in all the time inside of the cameras. So it seems like, maybe Apple's device specs are just really high threshold, and a lot of devices just don't meet that level, or there's not enough margin in them. I mean, I'd be surprised, why can't someone do an expensive video doorbell? I mean, there's some pricey ones out there to include something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it has to be expensive. You nailed it, right? You have to have the chipset that supports that level of processing and the heat management and electricity drain. Yeah, you need all of that. So we're definitely living that with DOMA with the cameras we're putting in our devices.
Yeah, I believe it. Keeping up with the news, there is a new study that was put out by Vivint. I don't know too much about Vivint. I don't think they have a great reputation from what I had heard from a couple other people, but they did a new study. They call it the How We Home report. But it has a few things that are interesting as far as smart home stuff is concerned. So than 2 in 3 homeowners say affordability is their primary influence when buying smart home devices. That's their number one barrier. They also say that they are struggling because they don't like all the different apps. They want all of their apps to go through a single platform, which I totally understand. 1 in 5 cite too many apps as the reason for kind of one of their biggest obstacles to actually making any purchases. And then as far as what is popular, it sounds like the usual ones have been pretty popular, like security related devices, doorbells, smart lighting, outdoor security systems, and smart locks. Top 10 products that people are buying or going to buy in the next 12 months. None of this seems particularly surprising. It's oh, shocker, people don't want to go to 10 different apps to control their entire smart home, and they want them to be easy to use, work together, and be affordable. So not a particularly surprising survey here. Homey has some news. Now, if anyone remembers, LG actually purchased Homey, but there's a new version of the Homey Pro. It is the Homey Pro 2026 model. Still keeps the same $399 price point, but of course it has like all the different standards here: Matter, Thread, Zigbee, Z-Wave, Bluetooth LE, 433 megahertz, infrared, Wi-Fi support. All of that is baked in, doubled the memory from 2 gigs to 4 gigs, and it'll be supported until June of 2031 at the earliest. So they're promising a lot of support for this. They even say the 2023 version is being supported until at least June of 2031. So it's good to see here that you're kind of buying this device that's hopefully going to be fairly future-proofed.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that commitment. That's pretty cool that they're committing up front. We're going to support this for at least this long.
It helps with the backing of LG, but honestly, it still makes me nervous because we have seen devices like, I mean, how many times has Google done something and then pulled the plug? We even had that robotic vacuum company, Nito, whatever, said, "Oh, we promise we're going to keep our servers on for another 2 years," and then they're like, "Just kidding, yeah, that got expensive real quick," and then they stopped. So it still makes me a little nervous, even when they pledge support for things. Like, depends on how much you can really trust them. But at least LG is not a small company, right? So it's not like you have to worry too much, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, it's great to see both LG and Samsung continue to invest in the space, right? I'm impressed at how much Samsung keeps putting into the SmartThings platform, and now seeing LG, put more into Homey. That's great. It shows that there's a lot of opportunity still in this business, and they recognize it.
Yeah, I love it. Especially with support from major brands like LG and Samsung, that is only good. I mean, LG is obviously, I mean, even if they're putting Matter into their products with the expectation you're going to use it with the Homey Hub and things, that's fine, but it still has all those extra benefits for Apple users or multi-platform households, which is one of the key benefits of Matter. So these are all good things. It looks like Pawport has a new smart pet door. This is a new larger model. It is $699. And they also have a new pet mat that you can also purchase to go with it that looks like grass. I was surprised. I literally double checked the date. There was no embargo on this. They just announced this ahead of CES, I guess. But I like Pawport. They're metal. They're real fancy. But this thing is huge. This is going like the side of your house huge to let out like a full-size dog.
Yeah, they're a cool company. I actually just got exposed to them for the first time. I was one of my manufacturing partners had a prototype in their factory, and I was able to see it and look at it and like, wow, this is a cool company. So I'm probably gonna get one myself. You and I talked about our dogs earlier, and I have an old Z-Wave pet. Smart pet door that is no longer functional. So I've been looking for something to replace it with. This looks pretty good.
We also talked about this too. We try to keep our cats separated a little bit from time to time. We have 3 of them. One of them and the other 2 do not mix, and they just tussle like crazy whenever we let them out. So we have to rotate them around and stuff. So we literally have like a hole in the door to go down to the basement. I want a smart pet door there so badly that I can like lock and unlock, and I want to do it, Matter and Apple Home. And I'm like, I saw Pawport, and I believe they told me last year at CES that they were planning on adding Matter support, because that would be perfect. Be able to, unlock the pet door or unlock the basement door for the cats and have that open up and let those 2 run around. So if ever I worry about, did I leave that open? Did I leave it closed? I want to be able to put that in, and I'm hoping they come out with that Matter version at some point, because I will buy one instantly just for the basement, let alone do outside.
I want one because I live in the countryside in Napa, just north of San Francisco, and we have coyotes. And I'm less concerned about the coyotes getting into my house in the middle of the night in this current passive pet door I have. It's more of I want to lock the door at night so my dogs don't go outside. Right? I have a small dog. I don't want outside in the middle of the night. That could be bad. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. We also have coyotes. We can hear them howling right outside, like not far away, but we have a fenced in yard. So hopefully they just all stay outside the fence, and we don't got to be too concerned. But yeah, I'm very nervous about that. We can never have an actual outdoor pet door because of the cats, right? Because the dogs are going to try to go through. and then open it, and then the cats will slip under their legs. So we have to still manually do that. We worry about that with a toddler, let alone, a smart door. But one day maybe.
My first smart pet door was actually in San Francisco. I one night woke up in the middle of the night. I had a cat that was screaming because there was a family of raccoons in my kitchen. They'd come in the pet door. Yeah, that's pretty wild, and no harm done. But I had to find a way to go around them, open up the back doors, and then use a broom to kind of shoo them all out. So yeah, again, another endorsement for smart pet doors.
I love that. My wife always tells the story of their horse coming into their kitchen. It had literally, like, they had left their garage door open and it had come into the house and then walked into the kitchen. And her mom, like, Sandy, what are you doing in here? I had to try to back her out. I don't think they have pet doors for horses, though. I don't think they're that big. Last week I talked about Aqara and that they were working on a Matter-enabled camera. That is still the case, but CyberMod Studio did walk back some of their claims. They say that their source got it wrong. The Matter 1.5 camera that they had talked about is not called the G310 after all. They actually got their hands on a G350, which they believe is just a regular update to the G3 camera that has been around for a while. I have that in our playroom. It moves and tilts and all that stuff. I'm still expecting more from Aqara at CES. They always have a ton of announcements. Like, they'll announce products like a year away. So my guess is Aqara is going to be stacked for CES, and hopefully we'll see something there. But yeah, what CyberMod Studio revealed last time was not accurate. So just wanted to put that in there if anyone had not seen, like, the follow-up that I put in the text in the video from last time. Before we jump into the full interview, let me take a moment and thank the sponsors for this episode. If you are listening to this episode right when it launches on Monday, I'm not here, and that's because I am getting my blood drawn for Function for my second round of testing. I'm so excited by this. There's a reason that I chose Function, and that it empowers users. I love the smart home. You are taking control of your home, and we're getting even closer to that with energy monitoring, so you really know what's going on in your own home. And it's kind of the same way with your body. Like, you can go to doctors, which requires expensive visits and insurance and all the things like that. And you can also do things on your own, like monitor your blood sugar with a CGM sensor, or use a smart scale. And I use my Apple Watch to track workouts and calorie burns and all of those types of things. But there's really only so much you can do without something more detailed. And that's where Function comes in. I find it absolutely fascinating, the amount of information that you can get from this test. There are over 100 biomarkers that Function will measure, and they give you these results quickly through the app or the website in easy to understand terms. Like, they give you your results. Is it high? Is it low? Is it normal? And what does that mean? Like, you don't have to freak out because it's like, this is a little bit high, but that's pretty typical. It doesn't really mean anything. Don't worry about it. Like, that kind of thing. Once you get all the results back too, you can get more detailed breakdowns of them. It'll have like a whole doctor's synopsis of your results, whether things are good, bad, what you should focus on, what you should not focus on. All that kind of information, just give you this whole little summary view. And Function recently added a new feature to its app that has an AI aspect to it, where you can get like personalized health plans and other ideas to improve yourself based on your health results that Function measured for you. It's just amazingly cool. There's so many cool things here. Like, I took my test like months ago, right? And I did my original set of testing, and I got the results back. They came into the app. I saw things. I knew things I need to work on, knew things that were good. And it just really kind of empowered me. I felt like I had control over my life, my body, my health, all of that. And I did make some changes. I made some changes to what I eat, to the supplements and vitamins that I take or decided not to take each and every day. And that's one of the things that I like about Function, is that they're not trying to sell you other things. They are selling you knowledge and power. That is what you are getting. You have the power to do something or not do something, but at least you have the knowledge to make those changes and understand your body the best way that you can. That's just what I love about it. And they make it so easy to do, easy to see and interpret the results. I'm just a huge fan of it. And this is like the moment that I'm so excited for, because in the next episode or two, I'll be able to tell you my results. Did I get better? Like, I made all these changes. how has it actually impacted me? Is my, perceived lifespan longer? Like the digital age of, my body and stuff, is that going to be able to get better or worse after just, 6 months of changing things based on my first results? Like this is something I'm beyond excited to see and learn more about. Plus, Function has a bunch of add-on features and add-on like health aspects that you can do it, like all these different scans and things if there's something specific outside of those 100 some biomarkers that they're already testing. So I have been a fan of it. I've used this. I've recommended to people. I know friends that have done this because they saw how much I got out of it and they loved it as well. If you want to try it out, this is a time to do so. Own your health for $365 a year. That is $1 a day. Learn more and join using my link. Visit www.functionhealth.com/HomeKit or use gift code HomeKit25 for a $25 credit towards your membership. You guys also know we are getting into the shopping time of season, which is probably a good time to talk about Shopify. Shopify has been sponsoring this podcast for a while now, and I still love them, and I still think about them every time I'm shopping. You guys like to know when I spend stuff. Well, it happened again. I recently got the Peak Design Pro tripod, which is amazing. And Peak Design is one of many, 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 many websites out there that rely on Shopify to power their business. But as soon as I was placing an order for the pan tilt head to go on top of that tripod, I'm like, I know where this is going. And I hit the checkout button. It instantly took me to the Shopify cart. It is iconic. It is recognizable. When you, as a consumer, are buying from a Shopify site, you know it is safe and trusted and backed by the power of Shopify. You may not even know that it is Shopify, but you recognize it and you have that inherent feeling of trust that goes with it. It's so easy to pay. Google Pay, Apple Pay, Shop Pay. You can literally land on that page, get a text message within like a second, and Apple's autofill can auto empty that code for you and you just hit checkout. It like literally did 2-factor authentication within 1 second of you landing on a cart page. It is so cool because it's easy for the consumer, but honestly, businesses love that too because they take away all of the burden and the problems of converting people from browsers into buyers. They make it that easy to purchase something from the store. And then there's also, like, of course, add-ons and plugins and all sorts of different things that you can do just with Shopify, because Shopify is a platform that's able to grow and scale with you. You can start off as a one-person team selling something out of your living room, have a website going by that afternoon. A couple years, you're larger, you're much bigger. Now you have a more built out website with these different plugins. Like one of the ones that I like to see with a lot of Shopify sites is one that'll protect your shipments, because as a business, one of the biggest problems is like returns and lost packages and theft and all those types of things. Now you're able to ship things out with confidence, and customers can buy insurance, which means you're going to get a percentage of that through whatever business is offering those plugins. So it's like an extra business opportunity for you, but it also takes away one of your biggest pain points as a business is for these lost, stolen, damaged packages, because people can opt to get them insurance, and it's just literally a plugin. I saw one store that was moving to Shopify, and they saw this plugin and they had it activated by like the next day. Like, they're literally that quick to get things moving, and it's like, boom, you just solved a problem and made extra money all at the same time with Shopify. Like, it's just so cool, the things that they can do. And of course, by the time you get to the big leagues, you have a massive site. You can literally have everything be custom, down to like the bones, whatever you want to do, all built around that Shopify platform to help your business succeed and help customers love the shopping experience. So in 2026, stop waiting and start selling today with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/HomeKit. Go to shopify.com/HomeKit. That's shopify.com/HomeKit. Here you're first this new year with Shopify by your side. Okay, let's get to what we want to talk about, which is DOMA Home. Let's get into all of that. I guess to start, why don't you give me a little bit of a high level, tell everyone about you, about how you got into the smart home space, and then I want to talk about August a little bit, and then we'll talk about DOMA Home.
Yeah, I'd be happy to give you all that. So, I actually started my career with Apple, believe it or not. I started off not in a very sexy side of the Apple business in distribution, and this is quite a while ago. So started there, and then made my way to the startup world for a while, and oddly enough, ended up at Dolby Labs in San Francisco, and was an executive there for a while. And everybody knows Dolby because of the audio and video technology, but they're actually just a giant licensing organization, and they license other people's technologies as well. And I created the NFC licensing consortium, and was really bullish on NFC. Really believed that NFC was going to be a great way to authenticate for both payments and for access control. I really saw that. And it is, and it turned out to be the case. And so that was really the genesis of August. Is I wanted to make an access control product that took full advantage of this coming technology, NFC, that I had been working on for a few years. Of course, the irony is that at the exact same time I started working on August, the BLE specification was ratified. And for those that don't know the details of that, it's in the old days we had to pair our devices in order to have communication over Bluetooth, but BLE changed all that. So it allowed an August lock to, you could issue a key to somebody, anywhere in the world, and they could walk up to a house that had, a BLE enabled lock on it, and they could unlock the door without any kind of pairing. And that was a really big step. So turned out to not be NFC, turned out to be BLE. That's kind of how I got going with August, was trying to change access control, and we did. We made the number one selling smart lock in North America, and sold that to Yale ASSA ABLOY in 2018, and stayed on for a couple of years and enabled all the Yale locks with August's technology, both our electronics and our software, and there's probably like 4 or 5 million smart locks in North America. People are using that are ours, and then I left a couple years ago, and took a little time off, and kind of did a lot of thinking about, like, what could we do differently, like what could we do better in the smart home in general, and then of course around the areas that I'm an expert on, around access control and security, even more so. So we spent a lot of time thinking about it, Eve and I, and also our CTO, Aaron Gottwald, who's also a multi-time founder. And ultimately, we decided, we want to take a whole new approach to the smart home, and look at developing products, technologies that really improve the reliability. The concern being that a lot of the broken promises around a smart home are around reliability, and we all experience the pain of products like locks and video doorbells that are battery powered, and the batteries are dead, and then it doesn't perform, or connectivity issues, or there's all kinds of reliability issues. We wanted to see how many of those could we solve for, and DOMA is certainly trying to solve for as many of those as possible. And that's the high level. I'm going to dive into product.
Well, I want to pick your brain just a little bit about August, because it's something that I have used. That is probably the longest smart lock that I have had on my home, and I have switched away from it just because I feel like specifically the August side of things obviously didn't keep up. Like, even though the August brand is still going, there hasn't been a ton of innovation, obviously, especially since you had left. And I found Yale got the multiple apps were getting confusing, and they didn't seem to play well, and it started to get messy, and it looked like there's obviously a lot of new stuff that happened in the smart lock space between Thread and Matter and new features and stuff, the ultra wideband, home key, all of that. So I eventually did move away from August, but I had August on my lock until probably 2 or 3 years ago. That was like the smart lock that I had for the longest time. So I'm curious about a few different things. So I want to know how the original HomeKit implementation went. And if I remember, you had to do a new version. Was that always the plan, to do a new version with the HomeKit, or was there a reason they couldn't go into the existing one? Because I think you had to do a new hardware model to do the HomeKit, didn't you?
Yeah. That was the jump from V1 to V2. Supporting HomeKit was one of the features of that. There was a bunch of other stuff internally that we changed, right? A different chipset. There was a bunch of reasons to upgrade. You just learn a lot after you put out a first version. So it was going to happen anyway. Um, and yeah, it's like I said, Apple came to us early and asked if we want to help them, come up with the whole lock profile and how that would work. By the way, the same happened with Amazon and Google. Before those products, those platforms were announced, they came to us and we wrote those profiles with them as well. And yeah, it worked out really well. I mean, we were August Lock was being sold in all of the Apple stores in North America, so it was a natural fit for us to adopt HomeKit.
Were you bummed that, I don't even know who to point the finger at between Yale, Asa Abloy, and now that's, I know, been sold off again to like Fortune Brands or something, Future Brands, whatever it is. But were you a little bit bummed that they didn't more continue the August brand? Was that always the plan to keep, were they planning to keep the August brand around? Were they trying to merge them? What was the goal there that when that all happened?
Yeah, I mean it's tough for them because also Abloy has the Yale brand not only in the U.S. but they had it worldwide. So they certainly wanted to get all of our software technology into those Yale locks all over the world, and we did. There's Yale locks in many countries that is currently powered by August software, and then they invest a lot in the Yale brand in the U.S. too. So they weren't gonna slow down on that, but they wanted to keep the August brand alive as a retrofit device, and they still do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, also Abloy had to divest the Yale August business because the DOJ made them. So the Department of Justice would not approve the purchase of Kwikset Baldwin without them divesting because Yale August had 67% market share. And I know all this because I tried to buy it back. In fact, I tried to buy the August and Yale business, the whole thing, and but Fortune outbid me on that, and so they have all that today. And I know that they certainly have plans to evolve the Yale August product line. I have lots of friends there still, and I think they're big on ultra wideband and thread. They get it. They're pretty smart people over there.
Yeah, I wish there was more. Like, I would have loved to see. I don't know. I just like the design of the August stuff compared to some of the Yale stuff that's just a little bit more traditional and like just I had like the red August too, and it just
Oh,
looked
you had the
so
red.
cool.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's wild.
I loved it. It just looked really cool. Like a black door with the red lock. It was great. Like, I'm an Ohio State fan. Like, it worked out
That's
well.
great. Well, did you
Um,
ever see the last version, the V4, that last version that I launched before I resigned? We launched the V4, which is super small,
yes,
like
that's the
the
last one I
yeah.
had. I did upgrade to
Okay.
it.
Oh, you did. Okay,
Hmm.
good. I'm glad you got to experience the smaller one. That's
I
the
had the
size we
silver
always
one.
wanted. Oh,
Yes, I
nice.
had the
That's nice.
silver one of those,
Yeah.
and I did like that quite a bit. But it was again, it's like Thread, Matter, Home Key, ultra wideband, all of this,
Yeah.
and it's like August
Yeah.
wasn't going to do that. So I am currently using the Level Lock is the one that I really like. The Level Lock Pro with Matter Thread works really really well. But there's been a lot of really great smart locks. So now you're working on DOMA Home. So again, it's you and Eve Bahar is back with you to do this,
A
and
lot of the August team, like a whole bunch of people have come over and have joined Doma Home. So I'd say most of our engineering team is all former August people.
so is your first like quote product this smart door, or what is what yeah what are you
Yeah.
selling like first?
Yeah, well, we're calling it the intelligent door. So
Okay.
we're using that term because we feel like the word smart kind of never really happened, right? It kind of, we never really got the smart home. We got lots of connected devices, maybe not so much smart. Back to the adaptive we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
So yeah, so the Doma Intelligent Door we announced this week, and we launched with six door companies, six door brands that make lots of doors all across the country and Canada. And yeah, it basically combines a whole bunch of products that we've touched on here. It has the smart lock inside the door, so it's hidden inside the door. You don't have that big that big element on the outside. It has a video doorbell built in with a display on the outside of the house. This is kind of nice. There's a lot of reasons you want a little display. It has a stereoscopic facial recognition camera, so we're able to do facial recognition. Of course, all the radios that we've talked about, they're all in there, of course. And then on the inside, there's a control panel, which is a display. It's in a nice vertical orientation. It gives you a digital view of the outside of your home, which is pretty cool. For all of us that have had to like peek out the side of a window or open up an app on our phone to see who's outside our door, it's nice to have that digital peephole. You just walk up to the door, it wakes up the screen automatically when it detects a human presence, and you see that live video. It's pretty cool. And then there's a bunch of features. The last really cool feature that we're really excited about is we put a motor in it. We invented a motor that actually goes inside the door, and it's very powerful. And the great thing about that is you have your phone in your pocket, and you're walking up to your door, and the beauty of ultra wideband is we can see you from a good distance. The door unlocks and it opens for you even before you get to the door. And so you have your hands full of groceries, you're carrying a baby, you're not having to fuss with door knobs or levers. You just walk through the door, you go to the kids' room to put the baby in the crib, and you know that the door is going to close and lock behind you. And it's a peace of mind, and it's a comfort that is really, really enjoyable. And once you experience it, you kind of want that with all the doors that you experience.
And I assume it's going to be very reliable. It's not going to be a hit or miss situation here.
No, it should be very reliable. The truth is we've actually been working on this product for probably more than 10 years. We were working on it at August. We've had a lot of ideas around how to do this for a long time, and so those ideas have carried forward, and we're finally making product to deliver on that. And it's great to work with these big brands, these big established companies that are already selling doors and windows, and to make these products together. It's a lot of fun.
So one of my first things is like, how does this installation work? I mean, obviously, because if I remember, it's not battery powered, so you're gonna need hardwired power. You're gonna need some way for that motor to anchor in there. Like, are you guys targeting new build, retrofit? Are you pitching more to pros versus like pro installers versus consumers? What's kind of the market strategy, and how complicated is the install of these going to be?
Yeah, so we tried to make it as simple of an install as possible. So like the motor, for example, it really is entirely inside the door. So the hinge side, the hinge that goes into the frame, is just your regular 4 screws. You don't need special toggle bolts or some element inside the frame of the house. Everything is in the door. Both sides, both ends of the door. We call that the hinge side, and we call it the lock side, the strike side. Everything is in the door. It's like little cassettes, little cartridges in the edge that the elements go into, so it's easily serviceable in the field too. So you don't have to take the door off if something doesn't work. You can swap out the modules. There is a battery pack. It also slides into the edge of the door. It is not designed for full-time battery operation. That's really a backup battery. It's designed to give you 30 days of full functionality in the case of power outage. That is the main purpose of that. So yes, a consumer can install this themselves if they're really handy, right? And the challenge there is there is elements to to installing a door. And this is a multi-point lock. It's not a deadbolt. That's another thing we wanted to solve for. Is deadbolts are they're just problematic. Like they're always misaligned, and if a door is misaligned, the deadbolt's misaligned, then you can't actually lock the door without maybe pushing on it or pulling on it. And for those of us that have smart lock deadbolts, we live with that all the time. So we wanted to solve for that. And so it's a multi-point lock that actually, even if the door is kind of like, as there's been seismic activity and the door is a little bit out of skew, this multi-point lock, we have these little hooks that basically grab all the way along the length of the door and pulls it into alignment as it locks. And that's just a far more reliable way to make sure your door is actually locked, closed and locked.
That's really cool. I told you I had originally had that Lockatron on there, and one of my problems in the apartment was that the deadbolt did not line up perfectly, and they were like kickstarting like at that point in time, and I had a very early unit. I actually got on a FaceTime call with their founder, Cameron, and showed him my deadbolt and my lock situation. And within 2 days, they went to the machine shop and he made me a tapered deadbolt. So that way, when it would go in, it would effectively pull itself into alignment to solve that issue. But like, yeah, that was like my first smart lock did not work because it would not pull it straight, and they went and did all that. Obviously that's not a thing you can expect consumers or companies to do, so to find a better solution for that,
it's
is
amazing
cool.
to me. It's amazing to me that there's smart locks sold today that don't come with a tapered deadbolt. I mean, I'm not going to throw any brands under the bus, but there's a bunch that literally they sell a $150 smart lock and it comes with a deadbolt that's not tapered. It seems like such a simple thing to put in the package. I highly, if you're going to shop for a deadbolt smart lock, make sure you get one with a tapered deadbolt for sure.
This has so many things in it. Like normally I feel like I would have someone here and we'd be talking about like just the doorbell and all of the specs on the doorbell, but now we're talking doorbell, lock, like the camera, the doorbell camera. You have also environmental sensors in here. There's like air quality and other things I think in this door. Um,
Not air quality. So I think that might be. So we didn't really get into details, but we also announced our intelligent windows too. So we are working on a whole line of intelligent windows, and those will have air quality sensors because so all of our doors and windows have motors, right? And the reason being is because we want a DOMA home to be the first home that wherever you are, you can press one button on your phone and you know for a fact that all of your doors and windows are actually closed and locked, right? And that's, unless you're, a Saudi prince or something, you probably don't have that capability today. And we want that to be something that is common in the years to come.
so what are we looking at? So you said there's all these different radios and stuff in the door. Where are you at with like Apple Home support or Matter support with these things? And like for all of them individually, between doorbells, cameras, locks, whatever extra sensors, security system stuff, like where are you at with supporting the different standards? Or is this all going to be in the DOMA app and you're going to make everyone use multiple apps and
Yeah,
make
quite
Vivid
the
mad?
opposite. Yeah, quite the opposite. So one of our core philosophies at Doma is that all the products that we make with our partners, we want them to be products that work for many, many, many years, and very importantly, they work for many, many years, even if Doma no longer exists, right? Because companies come and go. I've been in Silicon Valley for more than 25 years now. I've seen a lot go. So that is one of the beauties of Matter, right? And we're all in on Matter 1.5, and we'll support later than that as well, because we want all of our products to be fully accessible, and we were that way with August too. We played nicely with everybody, and Doma even more so, right? So we'll be integrated with Control 4 and with Savant and all of the platforms. We're very much believers that trying to create any kind of a closed garden or a closed system so that you can monetize your products, we don't think that's the right way to go. And especially when you're investing this kind of money in doors and windows for your home, you don't want to have to worry about whether the stuff's going to work in the future. So you will not have to worry about that with Doma. We're architecting from the beginning to make sure that's not the case.
That is awesome. What about with Thread? Are you going to be able to act as like a Thread border router? Because I feel like, your door is at a perfect spot to have access to the outside to bridge that Thread network, whether it is, garden lights or other sensors, locks, whatever else it is you may have around your porch or in front of your house. I mean, that would theoretically easily reach a garage or a shed or anything that you had around. Would that be possible?
Yeah, so we spent a lot of time thinking about that. One of the perks, by the way, if we choose to be a border router, one of the benefits to us doing it is that almost every DOMA door will be Ethernet connected, right? So we power the door, power over Ethernet, so that hinge that when the motor is attached, it does have a little channel. There's an Ethernet cable that goes through there, and so you power the door, power over Ethernet. You can obviously if you have if you have home run Cat 6 back to a PoE switch, that's one way to do it. But you can also just stick a low priced PoE injector like in the wall or in the floorboard or in the attic above. But yeah, being that we're Ethernet based, yeah, certainly serving as a border router would we would be able to do that very well. That being said, we're it's a system, and we're very proud of the system we built. But we're not looking to to boil the ocean. We're not looking to try to be all things, right? We're not trying to replace Control 4 or a Josh AI. Like we really are trying to do what we do really, really well and let others do what they do really, really well. And so we haven't made the decision yet whether we'll be a border router, but we certainly have Thread on board, of course.
I mean, you don't even have to be a border router, I guess. You can just be a Thread router to be able to extend the network without having to do the actual border routing capabilities. Because that's been huge for me. I had a sensor in our mailbox, and it did not work because I was too far away from my router. And fortunately, I was able to put in one of the PoE Aqara G5 Pros, which does act as a Thread router, and it was able to extend that Thread network enough to get to my mailbox. And like I had shipped out a package, it was gone, and I needed to talk to the mailwoman to see if she had seen it or anything. And I'm sitting here, and it pops up right on my computer screen. Mailbox opened, and I sprinted upstairs, and she was still at the mailbox, and she was able to find that package at the post office and sort it out, which was amazing.
Wow.
But I wouldn't even be able to grab her. Like my cameras don't even get see that far away because she's on the road.
Yeah.
So if I had it, triggering on motion, I would get every car that drove by, and that was the only way to do it. But I needed some sort of outdoor Thread router to enable that. So even if it's not doing border routing, a router for Thread would be great.
Yeah. Yeah, we will certainly consider it. By the way, I'm a big fan of G5 Pro. I think the G5 Pro camera, is arguably one of the best, if not the best camera you can get out there. I have
100%.
PoE ones all around my house. They're great.
I did an entire video where I said this is the best camera for Apple Home users.
Yeah,
100%.
That night vision, it's spectacular. They really did a great job.
The only thing that I wish they had now in retrospect would have been a micro SD card slot on there for continuous 24/7 recording. I know I can go. I believe it was updated to support like NAS if you wanted to set up your own NAS and do it that way. But compared to like the G10s or the G100s, whatever they have, the smaller ones they have that are still very good, those have 24/7 recording with micro SD slots, and I kind of wish they had that on the G5 Pro. But that's the only thing that I can argue with because that thing is just reliable. It's so good.
Mm-hmm.
Really, I just want to know where you guys are going. This is very cool. It seems extremely ambitious. But even the designs that I've seen so far on your early intelligence doors, they look beautiful. The screen also looks like I saw the little demo video. I'm like, well, that's August. Like it literally looks like the early August app, like the red accents in it and everything. It looks like it came from you guys. So where is DOMA Home going after this? You've got a smart door, an intelligent door. You have intelligent windows. What else do you guys? Where do you want to go in the home? Are you going to start doing cameras or other sensors or, a thermostat that is Matter enabled and shows your DOMA door feed or what? Yeah. Where do you kind of see this expanding?
Well, right now we're only talking about the doors and the windows, and we have a lot of work to do there with our door and window partners. There's all types of doors and windows that we are in the process of bringing online, so to speak. And getting all that manufacturing in place. And by the way, I should say it's really fun being in a business where we can just do the technology, right? Like that's all we do, right? Almost the entire team is engineers, and so I don't have all that sales and marketing that we had when we were in the Apple and Best Buy and Home Depot. It's so nice to just have that all offloaded to all of our partners. so we can do what we do best. I'll give you a little sneak peek. So in all of our doors and windows, we have millimeter wave radar, and I tell you, we love millimeter wave radar. We believe most consumers don't want cameras inside their home, and millimeter wave radar is a great way to understand, human presence, human movement in a very private way, right? Really, you're not giving up much by letting those sensors in our doors and windows around the home see that movement and what you can do. We talked about adaptive temperature earlier and lighting. When you know where the people are and where they're moving to and from, you can create a really magical experience around the home. And so we're looking forward to having a lot of fun, using these sensors to create good experiences.
So cool. When do you expect the first intelligent doors and windows to start being available?
Yeah, so all of our we've announced six door brands so far. We have another six or so that we'll also be announcing before sometime next year. Everybody's marching towards a summer shipping next year. So if all the manufacturing schedules line up and some of these probably get out sooner than later. So what people need to be thinking about now is, do you want a wood door or a fiberglass, or do you want to have it to be all glass, as much glass as possible, or aluminum or other materials? All of these brands have those different types of doors and materials and colors and sizes. So start thinking about what kind of doors, and not just your front door, by the way. We already have a big set of requests for other doors around the house, including, very importantly, the door from the garage into the house. And maybe that has a little less feature set than the front door, but people still want they want that door to be motorized, and have a smart lock, because again, you are often going from the garage into the kitchen area, and you have your hands full of groceries, and you want that door to open and close for you. And also, it's actually code in many states. That door has to have some kind of a closure mechanism for fire safety. So we're looking forward to doing those doors as well.
What about sliding doors?
Yeah, so that's also a big request. So yeah, we've already started working on those with a couple of our
Yes.
partners, and and the beauty is when you work on sliding doors, and you come up with the motor mechanism for that and how you're going to do that and have enough torque to do that reliably, then it makes doing sliding windows really easy. We've discovered, like, wow. Yeah, so some of our partners have really big sliding doors. And so it's
Oh,
been it's
that's
been fun for
cool.
the team to figure out how to move these, and also to integrate the sensors, right? Because we use the millimeter wave radar to detect, so we don't hit dogs or toddlers or even adults. It's all in the lab under R&D.
That would be great. I mean, talk about neglected in the smart home. I don't even understand how there's not a smart lock for sliding doors. Like, they seem like the same latch lock up and down everywhere, and you just take them off with a pair of screws. How is there not a smart version of those, at least that I've seen? And there's definitely not one in the Apple Home or Matter space yet. And that's not even talking about one that actually opens and closes and does all the extra fancy stuff. But yeah, I would love to be able to know that my sliding door is actually locked. That's the one thing. Like, I can get in bed and my wife's like, "Is the front door locked?" And I'm like, "I can confidently say that it is." What about the sliding door? I'm like, "I'll be right back," because there's
Yeah,
no other way to. No.
we have to do all of them. French doors, all of the above. We have to do all of them. We have to give people the ability to be able to know, have that peace of mind that all of their doors and windows are closed and locked. That's, I think in a few years that's going to be table stakes. That especially for a new home. Maybe it's out of the price range for many people for an existing home to replace all those doors and windows, but for new homes. We're talking with some of the biggest builders in the country right now, and they get it. They get that, like, especially the younger generation, they're going to demand these technologies in their home if they're going to spend, let's be clear, a new home in many markets is over $1 million, right? So they want these kinds of technologies in their homes.
For sure. This is super cool. I'm already planning on how to run the PoE line. I cannot wait for some of these to start hitting the market. When we get closer to that, maybe I'll bug you to get back here again. I cannot wait to hear more about them. Like I said, like there's so many like little things to know. Like, okay, what are the specs on the camera, and how are you doing all that stuff? And like, I'm just so excited about it. This seems really amazing. I'm so thrilled that you and so much of the team is back for a very exciting company, fully embracing Matter. This is amazing.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be on. I hope that people, embrace this. Go to domahome.com if you want to get on the wait list, and really enjoyed, spending this time with you today.
Perfect. I put a link to the DOMA Home website down below in the show notes, as well as everything else that we talked about in this episode. If you want to watch the video version of this, you can see me emote on camera. You can see some really cool artwork in the behind Jason there. It looks like Betty and Wilma from the Flintstones going on.
Yeah,
so you want to check that out. The video version of this up on YouTube, youtube.com/HomeKit Insider. You can go ahead and let me know if you have any questions for any future episodes, troubleshooting stuff, whatever. AndrewAppleInsider.com or any of the social media stuff. Jason, thank you so much again for stopping by. Anything you want to leave us with here?
Hey, this is a lot of fun. Let's do it again soon.
Perfect. Everybody, leave the podcast 5, 10, 100-star rating on your podcast player of choice, and I will see you all in the next episode.